It's also very family oriented, right? So family here comes first, no matter, like, it's all about the family here. Like, surprise people are things like Independence Day is kind of a family holiday. Christmas is really celebrated on Christmas Eve, a family holiday. New Year's Eve is a big family holiday, which really throws people. They're like, what? Like, there's not a bunch of big especially living in Mexico City where I live. People are like, where are the parties on New Year's Eve? And we're like, actually, New Year's Eve is pretty quiet night in with your family, playing games and like that sort of thing.
Hi everyone, Daniel here from Retirement in Mexico podcast. If you've been thinking about making Mexico your new home, whether it's for retirement, lifestyle, or just a fresh start, you're not going to want to miss this interview. I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Gabrielle Smith, who moved to Mexico City from the United States over 5 years ago, and she's an immigration specialist. She's helped hundreds of Americans, Canadians, and people from all around the world obtain their Mexican residency. I've got a long list of questions for her. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through all of them in one interview. This might be a two-parter. I'm going to ask her about how to get started, costs involved, paperwork, all the different consulates throughout the United States to see if any of them are different. They all require the same thing. Tons of questions, what to do once you have a residency, you move to Mexico, other extra steps and things for people to consider, any pitfalls. The list goes on and on. So I think definitely this will be a two-parter. Don't miss it. Subscribe. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Retirement in Mexico podcast, your guide to a life of sun, sand, and possibility. If you've ever dreamed of spending your golden years under the warm Mexican sun, surrounded by breathtaking beaches, rich culture, and an exciting community, you're in the right place. We're here to guide you every step of the way with expert insights, inspiring stories, and everything you need to know to make your move with confidence. The best chapter of your life is yours to create. Let's do this. Let's say the residency expires February 1st. I mean, is that the day they go in and apply for the renewal? How soon do they?
So 30 days prior to expiration is when they can start. So February 1st, I'm so bad with numbers. January is 31 days. I would say the first day that they would try and get an appointment or could try to get an appointment for renewal would be January 3rd. Give them a little bit of leeway because some offices count both the day that you're there and the day of expiration. So you're actually 31 days and the system doesn't let you and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I would start because I've had people lose their residency because there was a week here. It was Cinco de Mayo week and immigration closed down the Thursday before because it was a federal holiday. Closed down on Monday for Cinco de Mayo. We don't know why, because they don't typically do that. It's not a federal holiday. And then they were so overburdened. The system was so overburdened. So we only had 4 days to get people processed because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the system crashed. So then we had like 2 days. It was a mess. The woman expired. Luckily, it's a family unity. They can come back in. The husband has permanent residency and they can read you everything, but they wasted 2 trips to Mexico to do her renewal, to do her initial. And yeah, it's really unfortunate. So I always say, like, I had a client message me the other day, but like, I expire on the 16th. I'm going to come down on the 11th. And I'm like, NHB, like, just for my sanity and yours, could you come down on the 4th? Like, come as close to, or like something could happen. The system can crash or they can reject a signature. We used to get rejected signatures all the time.
I could talk about rejected signatures at the banks all the time.
All the time. I know. I don't want to even get started on how the signature on my passport it's not my signature. I don't know what I was thinking when I signed it. And I am stuck with that signature forever here in Mexico because that's my signature for my citizenship. I was hoping I could change it.
When I renewed my passport, not the one I have now, but the one prior, I went to Nueva Vallarta to pick up my passport. That's where I renewed. So they handed it to me, and of course, I have to sign right in front of them.
Right.
And of course, I'm like, okay, Daniel, don't screw up on your signature. I signed it.
Signature.
I'm like, that is not my signature, but I was stuck with that signature for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I had this
signature for life here in Mexico as a citizen. It's what is going to be on my INE. It's how I'm going to have to sign my Mexican. I don't even know how to make it. I don't even have to do how to do it.
Yeah.
So this is an issue. And so we've had that, where there's not another appointment available for 2 weeks. We have to sit in front of the computer or pray that like something opens up, but the appointments don't fall out of the system for 24 to 48 hours. It's just a whole thing. So give yourself time. Like, we are not going to the DMV, okay? Like, give yourself time. That is another thing. We get a lot of, well, I can get this done in one day, right? I mean, in Mexico City, there is a high probability that if your appointment is early enough in the day, everything goes smoothly. Yes. And you can come in and you can get your biometrics done that day, walk out with your card and leave. I will not take a client that can only do one day. I'm like, you must be here for an absolute bare minimum of 3 full business days. So if you land on Sunday the 30th, you are not leaving until like the 4th, preferably in the evening, because anything can happen. Like right now, we're requesting an exit permit. There was an issue with a visa in the system. The consulate, something happened. We don't know what happened because they don't tell us, but the visa is not registered correctly in the system. So INM has to contact the consulate, and then that has to get verified. And that can take up to 30 days. Just give yourself time, especially renewing.
Things can happen and things do happen. I remember, a few years ago, I sell real estate in Puerto Vallarta. It's along the coastline. It's in what's called the restricted zone. And a foreigner acquiring a property here has to have a real estate trust. They need to get the foreign affairs permit that comes out of Mexico City. All the foreign affairs permit throughout the whole country comes out of this office in Mexico City. And they had a glitch in their software for, I think it was at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. This was a few years ago. Guess what? Everything came to a halt. The entire country, because this foreign affairs permits could not be issued. One time, the Mexican IRS sat. They were upgrading their software system. There was a glitch. So the whole country basically came to a halt. Sometimes you go to the notary, and they print the deeds on a particular printer with this thick stock paper. The printer had blown up. And so
immigration with the cards.
I mean, if you wait till the last minute, you're kind of opening yourself up to these circumstances that can happen just out of the blue. I mean, it just happened, right? I tell people, don't wait till the last minute. If your residency expires on February 1st, 30 days prior, start the process and get down here as soon as possible. And don't wait, 3 days before, because anything and everything can happen. And they usually do when you're under time crunch and you wait till the last minute.
Exactly. Especially, and the most important is converting from temporary to permanent. Because when you are just doing a renewal, here's a tidbit. When you're doing a renewal, there is actually a law that if you expire outside of the country and have proof that you were outside of the country, meaning you got your exit, when you have residency, you have to stop by an immigration kiosk, or sometimes it's an office at the airport, and you get a little exit stamp. They stamp the date, and then they'll say RT. And so if you have that in your passport, something happens, or you can't, get back to Mexico before your expiration date, you actually have 55 days to enter the country after you've expired to renew, but you have to then get to immigration within 5 days to do that renewal. But that only applies to renewals. If you are converting from temporary to permanent, you absolutely must. There are no alternatives. Get it done within that 30-day period. Be in the country to convert. Otherwise, you are starting over.
Wow. That's good advice. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't mention I forgot about the checking in and checking out thing. So a lot of people, don't know about it. We send our clients like an exit information letter that says, if you're a temporary resident, about the 55 days, renewing within 30. By law, you are supposed to report your entries and exits into Mexico. And you do that by stopping at the little kiosk. And when you enter Mexico, always important to have your residency card on you. Law to have your residency card on you. But I always suggest having it out and just sitting on top of your passport. And when you get up to that desk, you always have to see a human agent coming into the airport. Get up to that desk and lead with your residency card so you don't accidentally get marked in as a tourist, because that can be really hard to recover in some cities. So other cities, it's a little bit easier to have your status adjusted. Some, it's not. And one thing as a resident you can never do is use the e-gates, the automated kiosks at the airport. You'll automatically get marked in as a tourist, and you don't want that.
Good advice. And also, Gabrielle, I've seen some clients, they don't want to carry their actual residency card, which looks like a little driver's license.
They must.
So they take a photocopy and they laminate and they carry that.
No,
And then that's illegal. You're forging a document.
correct.
And some of them got in trouble because you're forging a document. So, and they said, but I don't want to carry my residency card. You have to.
You have to. You absolutely have to. You can't drive in the United States or any other country probably without your physical driver's license on you, right? Unless it's the one that has been granted, like in the US, if you go to renew your driver's license, they send it to you in the mail, or at least in Arizona. I don't know how it is anywhere else, and they give you the paper version but says like, this is valid until, whatever. Here, no, you must have your card on you. I've been on multiple buses where we've had immigration stops. And, if you cannot prove that you are legally here, they can do whatever they want. You must, and no, you cannot make any type of a copy and laminate it, etc. That's not.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. And unfortunately, there are some foreigners, Americans that are staying in Mexico, they're illegally. And this is why, immigration just can come into to my business and just say, okay, you have foreigners working here. I want to see their card. I want to see that they're legal to be here. And they have the legal right to work here. They're registered with SAT.
Right.
And that's really important. Something else I want to talk about, I think a lot of American residents, Canadians, temporary or permanent, when you move from one address in Mexico to another, whether you're renting an apartment or you're buying a house, you sold it, you're buying somewhere else, you need to notify immigration, correct, of your address change?
Within 90 days. So there are actually 4 status that have to be reported within 90 days. One is a change of address, which is the most common. One is a change of marital status. So say you get married, you need to inform immigration. One is a change of name. So say you get married and change your name, which is really hard to deal with here because changing a name as a Mexican isn't a thing. So name changes are tough. I'm changing nationality. The only time I've seen a change in nationality is when I've had a client get a Chinese client get their residency with their American passport, but they want their Chinese citizenship to be on the card. So they'll do a change of citizenship. I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere with any other type of citizenship. And if you are a foreigner that gets residency and then naturalizes as a Mexican, you don't have to do it because you're now a Mexican. Once you do that, then you're no longer reporting to INM. SRE, Exterior Relations, Secretary of Exterior Relations, reports that to INM for you. But those are the 4 that you need to do. And it can be a hefty fine. In Mexico City, they apply the maximum, which is last year, it was 10,000, I think 176 pesos. It's hefty. It's not, it's not like $60. It's like 500, 600 USD. So yeah.
So Gabrielle, for you, you said you just applied to become a citizen, correct?
Yes.
So what are the requirements to become a citizen?
They differ depending on how you got your residency. If you're just a standard American that did 5 years of you're doing your residency via economic solvency, etc. So it's 5 years of residency. So in my case, it was my 4 years of temporary, 1 year permanent. And then after 5 years, you can apply for Mexican citizenship to naturalize. Okay, so there's no in-country requirements for residency. Like you can come get your residency, leave the country, come back in for renewal, leave the country, come back 3 years later for your permanent. I didn't actually touch on this, but they have actually been raising eyebrows at offices when you've been doing this because they're like, why do you have residency if you don't actually live here? But until the law actually changes, I'm not sure how much they can do about that. That's just my brain. There's nothing backing that. It's just me being like, well, that's what the law says. So, but if you want to apply for Mexican citizenship, if you want to naturalize and you came in as just, an American via economic solvency, you must not be outside of the country more than 180 days those last 2 years prior to applying. Mm-hmm. From 2023 to 2025, March of 2023 to March of 2025, I was not allowed to be outside of the country because that's when my official residency started, was March of 2020. I don't know. Number's not my thing, but you get the point. So you must be in country for a certain period of time. But if you are not intending on getting naturalization or naturalizing or getting Mexican citizenship, then it's nothing you need to worry about.
And then do you take like a written test or what happens?
Yes. So it's a multiple choice test on a computer. Really awkward because for me, it was really awkward. I think it's the same through all the offices. I did not know this, but you take, all of your paperwork, or I hope I hope I have all the paperwork. They check all your paperwork, and then you literally just like shift over to a computer standing right there, and they're like, okay, you're going to take your exam now. So if you are not from a Spanish speaking country, you have to take this. Everybody takes the history and culture exam. And then if you're not from a Spanish speaking country, you have to do a speaking exam, which mine was so easy. It was, why do you want Mexican citizenship? Where are you from originally? And something else. Oh, state your full name. I mean, super easy. Used to be much more difficult. You used to have to they had pictures. You had to describe what you saw in the picture. It was a lot more intense. And that's Spanish, obviously. Yeah. And then you have to do a reading comprehension exam, pretty basic. I, as a Spanish teacher, former Spanish teacher, had actually seen they use pretty common, famous, fables and stuff like that. So I actually knew every single one of them prior because I'd taught them. But I still was just I don't know, wait. But I got 100%. But the written test, it's a multiple choice test. There's actually only 10 questions that they ask you, but it's 10 questions out of a potential 600 and something questions. So you have to know all of them because you have no idea. It's roulette. My friend did hers the same day that I did mine, a half an hour earlier. She had 10 completely separate questions. Okay. So you have to study pretty hard. I actually hired a tutor, but I'm also a nerd. I mean, I have a PhD in education. So if that means anything, I just like to study. But yeah, it was intense. But then once the test is over, you're like, oh God, it was so easy, but it wasn't easy studying for it.
Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. Now you just have to sit and wait. What happens is they send everything to INM. INM submits an opinion. It doesn't say if the opinion's positive or negative. It just says in your status that INM has submitted their opinion. And then you wait months and months and months for SRE to review everything. For what I understand, they do an Interpol background check. And then after that's approved, then, they give you an appointment to come pick up your naturalization card, your naturalization letter, and then you can go get your Mexican identification.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Awesome. So, question for you. And then I experience this quite often here. So if people want to move to Mexico, but they get their residency, they come down here, and then now they integrate their new neighborhood, their new country, right? So what kind of lifestyle differences usually surprises newcomers the most?
Oh, boy. One is the concept of time, which I think worldwide, if you know anything about Mexico and kind of Latin culture in general, is that time is a fluid concept. Mm-hmm. I joke with my clients, I'm like, we're going to teach you the two most important phrases you need to know, ahorita and mañana. Because ahorita means right now, sometime in the near future, it may or may not happen, or never. Mañana also means literally tomorrow, but it also means a tomorrow in the future that may or may not happen, or never. There's a great meme on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It's what is the definition of ahorita? And it's there is no, it's really cute. But that is one of the things, service providers sometimes just don't show up, or, you call for example, oh man, I wish I could dry it out here. I still have my Telcel modem or my Telcel Wi-Fi. No, Telcel's my cell phone, whatever. Telmex. My Telmex modem from when I moved to where I am right now from my old apartment from July of 2020 that I'm still waiting for them to come pick up between 9 and 6 on, I don't know, July 28.
July 2020?
2020. Yes.
Okay.
I'm still waiting on a washing machine technician to come fix my washing machine that I have since replaced and have owned for a year and a half. Things like that.
So you gotta be patient.
Yeah. In the States, for example, I have no idea what Canada's like. I've spent 3 days in Canada my entire life. I'm from Arizona, Mexican border. In the States, they'll be like, we'll be there between 10 and 4. Okay, great. I get to spend my entire day waiting, but they usually show up. Sometimes here, they don't necessarily show up. They often do, but there's a chance that, something came up. We have to reschedule you, and it's 3:45, and you're like, okay, cool.
Or how about this, Gabrielle? You're out, let's say you're out of the grocery store, and they'll call you, we're outside your house.
That too.
What are you talking about? They're like,
Yeah.
well, it's Telmex. We're here.
Yep.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you come over now?
Yeah, things like that. So time, I mean, time is just, people joke. They're like, have you gotten used to Mexican time? I'm like, have always run in Mexican time. So I think that's part of the reasons that like Mexico is I feel like I'm Mexico in my soul because I fit so well into the culture. What are some other things? Like, people are more willing to help. People are more willing to come together as a community, but it's also very family oriented, right? So family here, it comes first, no matter it's all about the family here. Like surprise people are things like Independence Day is kind of a family holiday. Christmas Eve, Christmas is really celebrated on Christmas Eve, family holiday. New Year's Eve is a big family holiday, which really throws people. They're like, what? Like there's not a bunch of big especially living in Mexico City where I live. People are like, where are the parties on New Year's Eve? And we're like, actually New Year's Eve is pretty quiet night in with your family, playing games and like that sort of thing. Those are some of the things that really throw people off too.
Question for you. In my business, sometimes some of our clients think that working with multiple agents, is the best way for them to go. Any MP agent here in Vallarta that are part of the MLS system, we have access to the same database. So really, working with multiple agents doesn't necessarily work in their favor. And also agents don't want to commit to you if you're not committed to them, and you can't make everyone like run around in circles. Do you come across similar situations in your business?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I understand like shopping for getting pricing. That's a little bit, I don't think that affects you because realtors don't charge. Like I understand getting pricing and you'll get messages a lot that is like, what do you charge? Or, what are your fees? How do you work? But then every once in a while, we'll get clients that'll even commit to us and then decide they're going to go they're going to go process in another city, which I get that because of whatever their circumstances are, but that can be really like frustrating. We have, a lot of us have assistants that work for us that really rely on having that income. I'm like, okay, we have you scheduled. We have a client on this date. We have you, scheduled to work with them, etc. Or we'll have people that just don't show up. I have one guy that hasn't shown up 3 times in a row. Or I've had clients that have told me that they missed their flights and they decided, and I find out later that they just ended up doing their process on their own. They commit to us, they do all of these things, or they went and they worked with another facilitator. I am in a group with facilitators from around the country. We cover pretty much Cabo all the way down to Cozumel and a lot of places in between. And we kind of have a joke where we'll be like, so who got this message, and there'll be 5 of us is like, yeah. And we're all in different cities. So that's the thing that's but yeah, if you contact someone, they've really put in the effort to like answer all of your questions, put you on their calendar. Don't screw them over, don't decide, oh, I figured out how to do it on my own. ChatGPT told me. Or, my friend, which actually it's ChatGPT and kind of killing it, or like, oh, my friend is going to help me. I'm like, okay, well, I have you on the calendar for X date. Like your paperwork is done. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to do it on my own now. One of the ways that I've started doing that is protecting ourselves is a non-refundable, deposit. Nominal in comparison to what the fees are, just to, we do the paperwork, we have you on the calendar, we do this, and then you don't show up, or it's frustrating.
That's frustrating. There's a lot of work involved. People don't realize that sometimes. I think it's great to do your due diligence. I mean, if I were looking for an immigration specialist, I'll interview a few people, find out what their fees are, find out how experienced they are, how networked they are, and then decide who I'm going to go with, who I'm going to feel most comfortable with, and commit to that person. Same thing, I think, when you're going to hire a real estate agent, interview a few real estate agents, maybe get a few references and talk to them and how experienced they are and what areas they cover, blah, blah, blah. And then sit down, digest everything, and then pick the agent you feel like is going to best represent you and take care of you, and then let them do their job, because we're here to serve you.
Right.
Interview as many people as you want, but in the end, make a decision, and then hopefully it'll be smooth sailing and that person will get you on the right path, because that's the person you chose to go with based on all the information you've gathered. And kind of respect people's time, because we're not working with certain clients because we're booked and you're part of our agenda right now. And, I could have taken someone else, but if you're just kind of playing around with people, I think it's unfair. Just like they want us to respect you, consider respecting the professional that's here to help you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And another little thing kind of to add to that, like once you've contracted with, committed to us or paid your deposit or whatever, one thing, this is going to come across harsh maybe, but like let us do our job. I'll have a lot of clients who are like, oh, I did this. Or like, okay, and I understand, like, you're getting residency in a foreign country. Like, you should have seen me when I was doing my nationality. Like, my poor friend who does citizenship work, like, every day. And luckily, he's the chillest dude on the face of the planet. And he's like, no, you're good. And I'm like, so I kind of was able to re-put myself, because it was so long ago that I did my own residency, like, re-put myself into those client's shoes. But like so many times they're like, but my appointment's at 10:30 and you told me that good, and I'm like, listen, like, we have a process. This process has worked for many years, like, and it kind of goes back to that time thing. Like, I'll have people, that are coming in July. Okay, so my flight lands at 9 p.m. on the 24th. So what time and where are we going to meet you on the 25th? Please message me when you arrive on the 24th. And then we will coordinate the 25th. Like, we don't know that your flight's going to be on time. We don't, there's like
cancel, delayed, but how do you?
Exactly. And like, we don't know on the 25th, like, if it's going to be torrential downpour, it's rainy season. Like, you kind of in Mexico just really have to lighten up and go with the flow and be flexible. Like, you just have to. Otherwise, you will make yourself crazy. And if this process is going to make you crazy and tense up and stress out, like doing other things related to living in Mexico and relocating to Mexico and getting Wi-Fi set up and waiting for deliveries and, waiting for food at a restaurant, whatever. So it's not necessarily that it's laid back. It's more live in the moment type of society. And so a lot of people do not plan for tomorrow when we're still in today.
Every part of the world, every corner of planet Earth, things are done differently. Things move at a different pace. So I think, be mindful of where you're at. It's not your home country. Things will get done. It might be at a different pace. It might go slower or sometimes even faster, but it's going to be different. And I think one reason why you're moving somewhere else, because you want to have this different lifestyle. And along with that comes the cultural differences, right? The way business is conducted and the pace that people move. So give yourself that grace and give the grace to those around you that are helping you, and they'll get the job done. Just kind of take a chill pill,
Right.
It'll get done. So for someone that's just starting this journey, Gabrielle, what's the very first step they should take before packing their bags and moving across the border?
Making sure that they can qualify for residency at the consulate. I've seen a lot of people post in, some of the foreigner groups, like, I'm moving to Mexico. How do I get a job there? Like, you're going backwards. First off, getting a job here is challenging. You have to be able to provide a skill. You have to work for a company that, it can sponsor foreigners. You can't just move to Mexico and start offering yoga classes in the park. Like, that's not how it works. So number one step is doing your research and making sure that you even qualify to come down here legally, and then determining where you want to go, because it's a huge country. Mexico is not just beach parties in Cancun. There's a lot, or metropolitan, cosmopolitan Mexico City. There's so much more to offer. Figuring out where you want to live. A lot of things that people do get caught off guard with too is the cost of living is not as inexpensive as people think it is.
Depending on where you live.
Exactly, depending on where you live. Like, Mexico City is not cheap. People are like, oh, I'm moving to Mexico because it's inexpensive. I mean, depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from Boise, Idaho, you're going to be having some sticker shock, right? Like, if you're coming from Manhattan, well, yeah, it's another story. So yeah, just kind of doing your due diligence, because it's something that really, really takes people by surprise.
Yeah, and the cost of living is different. Just like in the United States, the cost of living is different in California versus living in the Midwest. So same thing in Mexico. Some of the big metropolitan cities and more popular destinations, things might cost a little bit more over there versus some remote little village or town or state. Oaxaca is very inexpensive to live, yeah. But you go to places like Cabo, it's going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So Gabrielle, if someone wants to connect with you, reach out, and have questions about immigration and get this whole process started, what is the best way for them to connect?
100% WhatsApp. That is all I use for my business. I have an email address. If you send me an email, it's going to say, you will not get a response here. Please send me a WhatsApp.
And can you share your WhatsApp phone number?
So it's just, area code or country code 602-910-9442.
Okay, great. And do you have any social media presence or just WhatsApp?
I am the admin of the Getting Mexican Residency Facebook group. So if you go to that Facebook group, you're going to, type in my name, you'll find me.
What's the name again?
Getting Mexican Residency.
Okay, great.
And then I do have a Facebook page for my business, but it's just there kind of to show that I'm real. And, it's got reviews from some clients. I don't use it very often, but we are working on upping the socials. We just haven't really had any need for it yet. And so a lot of things in this country are word of mouth. Actually, that's another cultural thing. Like word of mouth is definitely really important. Like showing that somebody else, trusted somebody that, But
referrals are always the best, right? Someone who's used goods or product services and they're very happy the way you treated them and got the job done and they're referring you. And that's bold right there.
100%.
Gabrielle, thank you so very much. That was a lot of information. I mean, we kind of segued from one thing to another.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I would love to revisit in a couple of years or maybe next year and see what has changed with immigration and give everyone an update. Okay?
Awesome. Angel, have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Your retirement in Mexico starts right here, and we're excited to be part of your journey. Every episode, we bring you the magic of Mexico, insider tips, and expert advice to help you take that next big step with confidence. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps others like you discover the endless possibilities waiting south of the border. Got a topic you'd like for us to cover? We'd love to hear from you. Send your suggestions to info@danielchamsoon.com. And remember, a life well lived isn't left to chance. It's created with intention. See you next time.